And it's Pete.
And Norm.
And we are not talking Star Wars and dissecting a subtitle of a movie.
That Rancor's gonna need a lawyer.
What are we talking about, Norm?
We're talking some tales from the Crypt, boils and ghouls.
Wonderful show. I love it. Let's go.
Let's get pumped.
We're back.
Yeah, after like a 4-day hiatus.
Yeah, not too bad, right?
Nah.
How have you been? What's happening in the world of Norm?
Nothing too much.
How's work been?
It's been work. It was a cold, wet week.
It was.
So
yeah.
8 hours in that a day.
Did you get any flurries?
Crushes your soul. Yeah.
In Jersey?
Yeah, a little bit. One day. I think it was Thursday.
It
flurried for like 10 minutes.
Flurries earlier. There was
I saw
flurries
that.
at 9 o'clock today. And
when I went outside for my thing, it was...
Okay, was it still coming down?
Yeah.
It was really coming down a couple hours ago, and I almost called you and was just going to be like, hey, let's just wait to see what happens. Because it looked like there were big flakes. And I'm almost like, oh my God, here we go.
Yeah, no, I only saw like 3 when I was out there. I was like, was that? Whatever.
What are we doing? Are we drinking alcohol?
I got a flat tire. Fat tire.
Fat tire.
My car could have a flat. I don't know. I am in Philly.
Your car could not
That lot attendant looked a little suspect.
Your car could not be there by the time you get back. No, Philly. Our area, my area is very nice. It's a good area.
Yeah, there's only 2 bums.
Yeah.
But it's Philly. You expect bums everywhere.
You do.
It is what it is.
I'm drinking black coffee.
Like your soul.
Like my soul. And I'm drinking one of my supplement mixtures right now. So
It's got bull testosterone in there. Don't let them fool you.
I got 0 alcohol right now. I think this is the first time we've recorded about both of us drinking alcohol.
What's this wee shit? You French?
So, you mentioned you did not watch a lot of movies this week.
No. You see, I've been playing a lot of Lego Marvel because I'm late to the game on video games.
You've been playing Lego
I refuse to pay like $65 for a video game that they're then going to charge me another $30 for all the downloadable content and everything like that. I'll put it to you this way. I've only played Batman Arkham Asylum. I still haven't even played City.
Yeah. So, but you were never into video games.
No, it's something that every now and again I get a mood, and if the game's good, it hooks me until I beat it.
Yeah.
That's just...
And the funny thing is, though, too, is you grew up with more of a video game generation than myself.
Right. I mean, I have a good chunk of the systems.
Yeah.
When I was younger, Nintendo 64 was the one that probably got the most play out of me, I would say.
See, so for me, it was 8-bit Nintendo.
Right.
That was like everything.
Oh, that's coming back so hard.
Yeah. But yeah, like a lot of those games just are horrible.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that are great are very much like arcade games.
Right.
You can only sit down with them every now
Mm-hmm.
and
Well, that's like Sonic, because Sega was another one that was big for me,
Sonic's
not
a
Nintendo.
beast, though.
There's no friggin' save points. Ugh.
Yeah.
You'll get 15 levels into the 20 level game and you'll die, and you'll get 2 of your rings back, and then you lose those rings, and you die, and you're out of lives, and guess what? You're back to level friggin' 1. Oh my God.
It's just endless.
Gets my blood boiling. We got to talk about something else.
Yeah, I am.
I'm hot under the collar now.
I make it no secret that I'm really big on Halo. I view Halo as probably the most complete video game ever.
Okay.
The most complete franchise. It's the only game, in my opinion, that is a business of itself. Mm-hmm. Meaning that just like the content that they crank out, the regularity of the content, the adjustments, the changes, the upgrades.
I would argue that
constant.
Mortal Kombat's on that level. They've been going for years and years. They've had movies. There's tons of products. They've branched out into adventure type games.
Yeah.
It's not all just...
you know what it is? Like, Mortal Kombat does fit that.
Mm-hmm.
But Halo is something like there's a difference between video game franchise, which is more Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter,
Right.
like where you always get like a new like Resident Evil. But then there's Halo, which is technically you buy one game. Like the whole idea with Halo is like you're going to buy Halo 5, and
Right.
for 3 to 4 years, you're regularly going to get new Halo 5 stuff, like for free.
Well, that's like Battlefront. That's how they're running the new Battlefront for PS4, and that's why I don't like it, because you have to constantly pay for new crap. Give me the finished game.
It's not like Halo. You don't really pay for Halo.
Okay.
Like you
Because you get the season pass.
There's no. You only pay for Xbox Live, which is $10 a month, and then you can play Halo. You can play the multiplayer, and you can earn what's called rec packs.
Okay.
And they're like trading card packs, and you open up, you earn points, you get the rec pack, you crack it open, and you can get new armor, new helmets, weapon upgrades, vehicle upgrades, and you have these things called certifications. And so that's the ecosystem of Halo. So like it incentivizes you to play endlessly, and you have your Halo character, which is a Spartan.
Right.
Like, they get ranks. So the ranks unlock like higher weaponry or different weaponry. So like it's all scalable.
I got you.
And there's so
Borderlands is like that.
Yeah, there's so much in Halo that is like regular, and the upgrades are subtle, meaning that they're always like enemies will move different ways sometimes, and they'll have slightly different capabilities, and that's where like it does trigger that geek. It triggers that obsessive like understanding and understanding of nuance.
I got you.
And now like the need to be a part of a community so you can share this stuff with. And that's what I mean, like Halo, it literally employs hundreds of people that just work on that one game for a long time until the next game, which is kind of like an evolution of the storyline.
Right.
And that's really like the only incentive to even buy like Halo 6 when that comes out, is to see what happens next in the story.
That's how God of War was. Where are they taking this now?
Yeah.
He's a god. How is there a third game?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Sitting in a chair?
So, I make no secret that I love Halo.
Right on.
I spent a few years away from it. I guess when I became single, it's just like, okay, well, we don't need that anymore. But we have Halo. And but it's also like I've had friends that became single and doubled down on some of their passions, and maybe like the wrong way sometimes. Like they doubled down on their passion and became like a patch. And to me, it was just like a supplement of something for me to do at 3:00 in the morning.
Oh, I believe it.
Like,
I believe it.
Like, what do you do in Center City at 3:00 in the morning some nights when every place is closed? Play Halo. You play Halo with people from around the world for a few hours until the sun starts creeping up. But so so today was supposed to be another horror episode.
Yes.
And I really screwed up.
It happens.
I was supposed to. Sorry, they're taking a little step. I was supposed to watch a bunch of movies. Norman and I were going to go through these movies and just kind of have a delving into the nature of horror movies, what the appeal of some of them are, and what makes some very unique.
What gets your gums flapping about them? Yeah.
Yeah, like
Get you excited.
What
makes a good one versus a bad one?
My overall opinion, I was touching a little bit of this earlier. I think most of them stink. They're horrible.
Well, that's...
most of them are horrible. They're just, even today, they're just, it's one bad horror movie after the other.
Oh, yeah, I've only had 3 that have really ever gotten to me.
But at the same time, though, I believe horror is like the ones that touch you. They touch you on the level that makes you seek that out endlessly.
Right.
And then
and it never leaves.
Right.
It never. When you find one that gets its hooks into you and you feel it under the skin, it never leaves.
Yeah.
To this day.
Yeah.
I saw Pet Cemetery when I was like 4 or 5.
Yeah, still always.
To this day, Zelda and that little kid, even when I see that little kid in something else that's not Pet Cemetery,
yes,
I get a chill down my spine. Anytime I see a Santa Claus, because of the Tales from the Crypt episode, all through the house with Larry Drake, he was such a good psycho friggin' Santa that, like, I always... If it's snowing out, I'm afraid to look out the window to see that giggling, psycho, bad-toothed, whack-eyed son of a bitch out there. To this day.
When it comes to that, you just said something that I think is important. And this goes with some of our pre-recording discussion, which is a lot of what Dream Warriors, I think, is going to become is I want to understand why people like things. I want to understand some of the reasons why they're drawn to stuff that's universally good and stuff that's universally awful. A good example of that is what's the title of the movie I was watching earlier?
Basket Case.
Yes.
Here's the thing. All the movies that I left for Pete to talk about, I'll just give you guys a taste of what he was supposed to watch. Killer Clowns.
Which I've seen.
Basket Case 1, 2, and 3. It's a trilogy.
Tremors.
We have Tremors, the complete series, which you didn't really have to watch. Tremors, the movie. Puppet Master, Axis Rising.
Which is just a Nazi puppet master.
Yes,
movie.
that one's like 9 or 10 in the franchise. My Name is Bruce.
Yeah. And the one I'm looking the most forward to.
Demons.
Yeah.
From producer Dario Argento. It's an Italian flick, so I'm classy.
I may save that one for the very end.
I believe it.
Okay. So we're going to get into all of this, and I had a crazy busy week.
Right.
You seem busy as well again too. So we kind of had back-to-back busy weeks.
Right.
I think it's amazing we're even recording. So here's the thing. Part of the pile that you left me, I did grow this anticipation because there's something about that. There's something about when people give you a pile of something and they just say here, because they're effectively giving you a piece of themselves.
Right.
And you're not going to know the person's psyche, but you now discover like all these different shades and colors to discuss with this person. And it pulls the two of you closer.
Right.
Now, the other side of that is when you give a pile to someone and they kind of blow it off and they cherry pick what they want to watch or not watch anything at all. And sometimes you don't have to give a pile to someone because everything's available today.
Right.
Everything's relatively cheap.
Well, that's why I like the Kern's approach. When we'll be hanging out and he needs something to watch, he's trying to save money, not spending any money going out.
Well,
he'll walk over to the shelf and what does Norm have that I haven't seen or what looks good that I haven't seen, and he'll just pick one or two, and usually in return I'll say, now you got to bring me a movie or two back, motherfucker.
Yeah. I like that type of exchange.
It's like a Blockbuster for me. I just have to keep mental track of who has what.
So
one renter at a time.
So with this, you always talked about this. I know this is like a 0.0 franchise for you, and I say franchise loosely because it's kind of like a dead franchise. But Tales from the Crypt.
Right.
So I grew up when that was first coming on.
I was born in '90. I can honestly say, like, because at a very young age, it was explained to, like, I had to be able to explain what's real and what's make-believe. I knew Big Bird wasn't real. He was somebody in a suit.
Yeah.
I knew the major difference. Walker, Texas Ranger, he's not really a Texas Ranger. He didn't really shoot that guy. Like, at a very young age, that was drilled into me, I guess, because my parents were movie buffs at the time.
Yeah.
So I was allowed to stay up and actually watch Tales from the Crypt. Like being 4 years old. Like, oh, there's boobies on TV, cover your eyes. Like, that's what would happen there.
Yeah, that's a lot of what I remember, too. I remember watching a lot of movies with my parents. And it just seems like at one time that was a rite of passage and a family thing. And kind of created barriers.
I remember my big brother trying to cover my eyes because we rented it. during Leprechaun 4 when he gets blown up. He becomes a giant leprechaun in space, and he gets launched out into space and destroyed. But his hand survives, and out floating in space, he flips the bird. And my big brother's trying to cover my eyes, and I was like, "It's not nudity. I'm allowed to watch it," Mom said. And I was like 4 or 5, because that was the night we actually beat the Power Ranger side-scroll game, which, on a side note, I think they're re-releasing for PS4. I'm thoroughly excited.
I know there's a Xbox One game.
Right, and I think that's the PS4. Yeah, it's like a side. I only saw like a teaser for it, but it seems side scroll like the old school.
Right now for 15, it seems like an old school style side scroller.
Right.
I wasn't sure how up to if it was like a new game.
It looks old school, retro looking, like the way they were fighting the putties, and I feel like I remember the boss that popped up in the trailer. So I think they honestly just redid the old Sega game for
or just
newer systems.
Took ideas from it and was like, hey, we can make this better. Let's just make it available, make it affordable. I think there's always something to that. There's something to the.
Now that one got me excited, and like you said, I'm not a big game guy, and I'm not. But that one, I was like, it's just that night up late. Watching Leprechaun playing, like I'm pumped for it.
The one thing about side scrollers that are always, I think, more significant than other style of games, it's really just kind of like, usually they're very colorful. The colors are contrasted.
Right.
They're repetitive as a mother effer, but they're fun for that reason.
Right.
And I do think the color and the nature of the game, because it's lighthearted, it pulls you in, and you do get a little bit of that drift. Like your mind starts drifting, you start thinking about maybe these other things, and it's almost like therapy. It's like it's almost like you're massaging your subconscious.
It's like an escapism.
Yeah,
I just hop, jump, shoot. Hop, jump, shoot.
And it kind of gets
duck.
Yeah, it kind of gets you going. But real quick though, so getting back to Tales from the Crypt.
Right.
So this is really what got you hooked onto this style of like horror movie, or like the style of, like, I would even say like just like strictly entertainment.
Yes.
Like you're
probably
kind of always chasing some of those initial thrills and shocks and surprises that you got from Tales from the Crypt, and you kind of now
it was like, honestly
like borrow that into other movies.
More than that, it was like they were twisted fairy tales.
Yeah.
Each one had these outlandish characters, and there was always a lesson to be learned in the end. If you're going to cheat on your spouse and kill them, your spouse is going to come back from the dead and haunt you until you die. Or they're going to kill you, or like... there's just so many. One of the main ones that stands out is the... it's like a later season when they started getting really bad. But it's like this fire inspector.
Okay.
And... he hates this guy that his daughter's dating and all this stuff, and he has this pyro burn down the club, right? Nice. And in all the wreckage, he finds his daughter's necklace on a corpse coming out of the club because she was supposed to be home.
Cool.
So he he's devastated, all this stuff. He goes home, he kills himself. Then his daughter calls from a payphone because she had given her friend the necklace who was at the club. Her and the boyfriend ran away. And they were okay, and they got all this money out of the club, and they were out, and Daddy, I love you, blah, 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 at the end. And like, it was just such a like, oh shit, she's dead, you screwed up. Oh shit, you killed yourself. Oh crap, she's calling you a lot. Like, it was like a triple twist punch, and those episodes seldomly came, because it was always that one twist.
Yeah.
And that was like, bam, bam, bam.
So my sister and I, we...
Grabbing a brew, you want anything?
I'm good for now.
Okay.
Grab another. Yeah, the fridge. I was so tied up uploading and dealing with an episode of Bad Eats, which is the YouTube show Bad Eats episode 4. I did not stock the fridge before Norm came, so we are in a weird leftover beer zone right now. There's no Yingling in there. There's no Modelo. There's nothing. Here we go. And Norm should be coming back. Yeah, so, man, making the noise. So, one of the things I was getting at is my sister and I used to watch Tales from the Dark Side.
Okay, that's another good one.
Okay, and there was a movie called House 1 and House 2, that we were absolutely in love with as like teenagers and mid-teens.
I met him at the last Comic-Con I was at.
Okay.
William Katz.
Now, I haven't seen either of those movies. And
you know there was a 4, right?
And probably
there's a 3 and a 4.
20-something years.
You're aware of that?
No, I can't. I don't remember what some of the stories were. I don't remember the plot of those movies. I just remember them being horror.
The first one's the Vietnam dad who's a writer.
Okay.
And the zombies from Nam are coming back with a whole bunch of monsters. Really? The one, yeah, his partner that he loses to the Viet Cong.
Dude, that sounds.
And he's got his son disappears in the house. It's the haunted house.
What?
The second one has the cowboy grandfather corpse. And the Crystal Skull, Indiana Jones style.
I remember the Crystal Skull.
Yeah, it's the second one. Okay. There's a third one with Lance Henriksen, where it's pretty much Shocker, shot for shot. Like, it was House
Shocker
3.
It's such an underrated...
It is. Mitch Pileggi kills it in that movie.
Yeah, what an because you know what it is?
The problem is it's Wes Craven, and everything that he's done is always compared to.
It's always going to be garbage.
It's going to be the next Nightmare on Elm Street coming, it's not, and everyone gets.
I'll tell you one
pissy.
thing. Scream is such a good trilogy that is hugely, like, again, getting back to the people on that high horse, like that want to preach down to what's good. I challenge anyone not to watch the Scream movies and not be entertained and thrilled. And, And the new, like this.
I've never seen them.
The surprises. You never seen?
I saw the first one. I know the arcs of all of them pretty much. I'm really fuzzy on 2 and 3, but I've seen the first one enough to. I was always an I Know What You Did Last Summer guy.
Yeah, a chunk of what I forgot about the Scream movies, about 2 and 3. So a couple years went by. I watched them not too long ago. A lot of what 2 and 3 was just jumbled in my recollection.
Okay.
So I watched them in order, and there's a, it's almost like turning pages. And the pages of reveals are kind of like constant surprising. They keep you guessing. And it really isn't about like Neve Campbell not dying and all these other things, because like she's essentially built as a survivor,
right?
And she's built as a tough, tenacious, like Ripley from Aliens, like that type of, like, you're weaseling out of this because you're tough and tenacious,
right?
In my point of view, like the highest level of female protagonist is that type of character, and I understand some of the Star Wars blowback, which is kind of having like this moment in Star Wars movies now where the guy wants to help the girl and the girl takes out a room full of stormtroopers with helmets and she's beating
making
them with, like,
women capable.
Yeah, and it doesn't. I don't feel like that always comes off. It does seem forced a lot of times. I'm not really sure why it's in some of those movies, because both of those Star Wars characters in Rogue One and in Force Awakens, those characters could be doing a lot. Like, they don't have to be doing that. They're already established at that point. But anyway, so I would really like to watch Scream with you. And actually, the fourth one, and it, like, amazingly adds to everything else, because the fourth one does a lot what New Nightmare did to Nightmare on Elm Street. Okay. Like, it takes it out, but then it looks back in. Kind of, it breaks that fourth wall, where it's the movies were like real life, and now they're making a movie of the real life movies. Like, like, it's such a cool little, like, paradigm. Yeah,
that's paradigm. What I like about Urban Legend 2. The first one,
Urban Legend, the I Know What You Did Like Summer 1 and 2, all good entertainment. Urban Legend, was that a TV show?
No, that was.
It should have been a TV show.
That was 2 movies, and then they did like a Bloody Mary spin-off type third movie. But one of them, the second one, no, the first one. The first one has Jared Leto in it. He's like the main filmmaker guy on campus. They're both like film student, like, oh god. And that second one with Anthony Anderson, that one goes hard. The casts are great in those too. Like they really do. They're
stacked.
loaded
It's
for being
young,
90s slashers, 2000s.
and it's young future Hollywood, all in one movie, and that's a lot what Scream was too. And Scream, there's parts of even Scream that was like the passing of one generation to the other, with the Fonz is in the first Scream, and you have even like Drew Barrymore, like, who was kind of almost passing the torch to a younger generation in that movie, and that's why it's significant that she dies in the beginning. Like there's symbolism within Scream, and the guy who wrote Scream is a guy named Kevin Williamson, and he went off to create Dawson's Creek, and at one point I thought he was the future of Hollywood, like screenwriting. I thought this guy was going to light the world on fire. I think his momentum, like kind of his credibility, I don't know. You don't know what happens sometimes, right? You don't know why people just stop getting work and stop getting hired. But he did Teaching Miss Tingle, which was like maybe it's Teaching Miss. I think I'm getting the title right, but it's with Katie Holmes. Okay. And it's just like these kids have a bad teacher. They want to teach the teacher lessons. It's a little bit of that type of movie, but it's another teenager,
angsty.
Yeah, and this movie he wrote. It was his writing directing opportunity, and it just was like a complete failure.
Right.
Okay, and the movie does hold up. It's not a terrible movie, but I think the hype that he had around him, I think probably the industry expectations were too high. See, like sometimes audience expectations can kill a career and kill a project, and sometimes the industry expectations can do that. Sometimes even before a project even gets released. Right. Okay, and a lot of people miss that, like because Hollywood is still a small town, and you kind of do know everyone once you get to a certain level. And it's easy just to be like, like that person's hard to work with, and no one.
I was watching a video on YouTube about that last night. It was like top 10 hardest celebrities to work with, or like behind the seat, and they all have their.
And look, at the end of the day, you really don't know.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm not naming names and knocking.
You don't.
Everyone's seen that Christian Bale rant, but you don't know what his day was like. You don't know it like. You don't walk through while they're filming. You just don't do it. Like so maybe he overreacted, but that guy should be a professional to know. Like you're walking on set while they're doing a take. It's that give and take. So
rolling.
I'll never pretend to understand it, and I'll never really judge.
Yeah.
You want more money? I don't know what you have to do to play Leonard for 10 years. Yeah. I don't know what it's doing to your psyche being a friggin' nerd. I don't know. Yeah. So you want 1.5 mil? You go for it.
So when you were younger, watching HBO, Tales from the Crypt.
I watched Spawn too.
Yeah, Spawn's fantastic. I miss it. The animated.
He keeps teasing me with stuff, and it never comes.
It's
like Guillermo with Hellboy. I laugh it off when I see news. Oh, you have new news on a new Spawn movie?
Well, that's what we were discussing earlier about, like, there's such a cycle now of just BS things that a lot of these sites
see, I feel like you can really draw the line. Like Guillermo talking about Hellboy 3 and Todd McFarlane talking about Spawn, you can laugh it off. It's never going to happen.
I will say this, though. Guillermo promised Pacific Rim 2, promised the Hellboy 2. He has a record of he still gets projects.
Well, he's doing like a Twitter poll now to gauge fan react, and apparently it boomed up enough that he's willing to talk to Ron Perlman within the 3 days.
He said, but there was 100,000 responses, and I saw
within hours
he had like 170.
Yeah,
so which is awesome.
Right, but the problem, the movie initially fell through because no studio wanted it. Well, so it doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter this poll, it doesn't matter if he's going to talk, until the studio pick, same thing with Dredd 2. I could talk about Dredd 2 until I'm blue, and Carl Urban killed it, but guess what? Until...
Exactly.
They started a Kickstarter, and the studio literally said, we don't want your money, we get it from tickets, keep it, you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
Like...
And that's where... people sometimes they want to force things. They want to act like the vocal minority is the only voice that should be in the room. And Hellboy, believe it or not, could just be a geek driven property that the core loves.
Oh yeah.
And
they're not bad movies. They're entertaining, they're fun.
But that's it though. Like now, like that's as far as this idea can go.
It could have been a franchise, but it just isn't.
Yeah, I mean, like, do you think, like, sometimes I think it's a little bit deeper than that. Like, sometimes you kind of look at something like Hellboy and you say, well, maybe the idea does only exist in comic form to its fullest extent. Maybe there's just not enough there to last as a film series. Because, like, like, not everything can be.
You're right, but like I think something like that with you got the Hellboy, you got Abe, there's Klaus. Like, I feel like there's enough there to kind of sustain a paranormal X-Men, if you will. But it's the way the storytelling goes.
But it's funny you mention X-Men, because I do feel like X-Men. Everyone's like, can they just do X-Men right? And I kind of want to say, I think they figured out X-Men, and these are the
right ones. Yeah.
This is as far like this and that. And
the only way it's going to be 100% is if Marvel Studios got it back.
Got it back and put them in the background.
Yeah.
And that's and worked them the same way as Fantastic Four. But real quick though, so Tales from the Crypt. What are your standout episodes? Like what?
Dude, I could go on and on.
What are the ones? How many seasons was that? 5?
No, 7.
It was really 7 seasons.
7 seasons.
Wow, I don't remember it being that. See, their publicity for that was so innovative.
See, I don't remember.
So here's what I remember. Okay, I remember them interviewing Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he was Arnold at the time. And
dude, he directed an episode.
I was going to say
Michael J. Fox directed an episode. Well, so many friggin' actors. Yeah. Tim Curry does that show is riddled with talent. Yeah. Brad Pitt does the racing episode.
Yeah, and
like
it's
stacked.
Well, that's what I'm getting at, to where when you have at that point, like, you kind of Schwarzenegger was Hollywood. Like
that's one of my standout episodes too.
Like you can just argue that. You can just argue, like, the biggest guy in Hollywood now, and they're talking to him and he's talking about directing and wanting to direct and always asking directors questions and learning on the set, which is actually something he echoes in his biography too.
I side note on Schwarzenegger. I was watching a list of funny funny commentaries on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
And it was like, so one of them is Mickey Rooney talking about his Twilight Zone episode, and he's just being a curmudgeon-y old prick. No one wants to watch this. Kids today want to watch sexy, and the line producer is like, actually, the people that are watching this with the commentary on are like 18, 19. No, they want sexy. They don't want this. I don't remember. It was 30 years ago. I don't remember. Like, just the whole time. But Schwarzenegger is always enamored with himself in all of his to where he's like, you see what I did there? I was smiling, but really I'm supposed to be angry, and it comes off perfectly, and that's all. You see, they're making the sword for Conan. That's really important throughout the story, because he's a daddy's boy, and look at me now. I'm big. He's just enamored with himself in all of his comments. So if you ever get a chance to watch a commentary with Schwarzenegger, I could bring you he's just enamored with, look at me there. I'm doing such a great job interacting with the children in the kindergarten, and I'm a tough guy, but I'm being so soft with the little girl because she's fragile. You see me there? It's wonderful.
And this is from a video you saw.
Yeah, it was because another one they mentioned is Ben Affleck and
in Armageddon.
Yes, and Michael Bay having at it.
Yeah,
Joel Schumacher apologizes to fans in both commentaries
which I hate. I don't think he should apologize. But the Ben Affleck one is more like comical kind of, hey, I'm watching this movie for the first time too, and that's why that's where it comes off. But
hey, Michael, wouldn't it just be easier to train actual astronauts to be oil drillers? Shut the fuck up. Right.
But HBO had this wonderful way of almost pulling you into Tales from the Crypt as being almost like a lifestyle. It was almost like might have been like the first show that was driven.
It was funny. It was sexy.
Yeah.
It was bloody.
But it was also driven. It was celebrity driven, but behind the scenes.
Well, I mean, Robert Zemeckis was executive producer for I think the first six out of the 7 seasons.
Yeah, which is and I just remember watching their promos for that Schwarzenegger like episode in that season that was like coming up, and just like
I could tell you that episode.
Like I couldn't like it was like maybe like the first time I was like seeing that you can do more than one thing in life.
Right.
Like actors just maybe aren't just actors, and Tales from the Crypt was so interesting because it brought you behind the scenes into the process. And that's what I mean about it. Like I think that's where it's unique and that's where it's the most impactful, is that they made incredible content.
Right.
But they also sold the process to the point, and they pulled in people that became a part of that part. It was almost like a party. Like it became a part of like hey, like
it's like The Simpsons. Everyone wanted to do an episode. Hey, can you get me in? Yeah. So, it was a part of pop culture.
So tell me off the top of the tip of Norm's brain.
Okay.
Tell me about the Schwarzenegger episode.
All right. So that one, Schwarzenegger cameos at the beginning and the end with the Crypt Keeper.
Oh, he's in the movie. He's in the episode.
He only does the Crypt Keeper scene to set it up, but he's going to pump up the Crypt Keeper. You're just a bony bag of bones, that whole spiel. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then it goes into the episode. That's the episode where William Hickey, the little old man, he's rich, and he falls in love with this young woman. And I can't love you. You're too frail. So he goes and he gets hair implant, but it costs him $100,000, and he gets the young guy's hair. Yes. And then he goes and he gets his legs done, and he switches legs with the young guy. And by the end of it, he's broke, but he's jacked. He's a beautiful guy. He's still got his old William Hickey voice.
Yeah.
And now the guy that got all of his body parts, who now has all of his money, gets the girl. And it's that whole, like...
That's funny. Yeah.
I don't want her to know I'm rich. I want her to love me for me.
Which is also, like the self-image. Like owning up to your own self-image.
Well, that one also goes back. That one's
a lot of what Schwarzenegger said at the time.
Well, that one is heavily, not heavily tied, but like that. There's the Leah Thompson episode where she's the prostitute. She sells her looks. She gets her face cast, and she thinks, whatever. But then she starts to age horrendously, and she tries to buy back her looks, and she can't, and she tries, and she does, and finally, and then she smashes the mask that holds the magic of her looks, and now her fiance doesn't even recognize her because she's just this old withered piece of leather walking down the street.
So of the 7 seasons, where are you? Do you know? Do you have any?
I own all 7.
Yeah. Do you have any insight into why it stopped and what slowed it down?
I think quality.
You think it's
the very last episode was their first animated episode.
Oh wow!
And it is by far the worst episode. So the quality went down. I feel like the movies weren't successful.
Yeah, the episodes.
No, the movies. Demon Knight was
the Bordello of Blood.
Bordello of Blood was the one that put the nail in the. That one's a great story, and the color scheme, the bright green lightning with the green blood and the purple,
it's like
and
Schumacher.
Yeah,
it's a Schumacher
so well.
movie.
I got the Scream Factory Blu-ray for that.
Yeah,
I had to pick it up.
I remember seeing that in the theater and just being like, this is like just I was young, just being like, this is awesome.
Oh yeah,
like it was. That's it. It was awesome. There's always like an investment when you go see a movie. You just don't want it to piss you off and suck. And just sometimes you remember. I remember like when you and I left 300.
Right.
And we were like, oh my God. Like we were just happy. It was fun and awesome.
It blew us away.
It didn't matter if it was even a great movie. It's like it was almost like a shared experience. And, and that's why a lot of times, like that's the most important reason to see movies in theaters, is because you do have like this secret companionship with.
I have no qualms with it unless it's a horror movie, especially when it's PG-13.
So
I can't do it.
So do you think what happened with Tales from the Crypt was a similar like acceleration of a dilution of the product, of the perception of the product that happened with Nightmare on Elm Street.
I feel like the quality just went down, and they were more banking on, because by that point the Crypt Keeper blew up.
Well,
his face was there. For Christ's sakes, I just learned this year there is a Crypt Keeper Christmas soundtrack.
Yes,
where the Crypt Keeper sings Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Deck the bloody halls.
Well, that's a little bit of what I'm getting at.
Right.
To where
it became too much.
It became
the quality of the show was being sacrificed for the merchandising of.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how you could equate that, but at the same point, it seems like maybe like there's like a shift in focus or something. Mm-hmm. Like there's something intangible that happens when you go horizontal and not vertical.
Right.
So, are you familiar with the Tales from the Crypt Saturday morning TV show? Cartoon.
I have a bootleg of the complete series.
And that was one season, right?
2.
That was 2
I think
seasons.
it got 2.
Like that's even significant. Mm-hmm. And that's to me where, like even, like the younger version of me knew it was maybe going too far, because I remember when they first started showing the promos for that, it was almost like.
It's like, Are You Afraid of the Dark or Goosebumps?
And it's just like, how's it better than the TV show?
Right.
Because
why aren't you using these stories for the show?
Yeah, and it was just like one.
Well, that's the other thing, because you can trace back every episode to a comic book issue, whether it's in Vault of Horror, Tales from the Crypt,
the EC comic,
universe,
Boom, Error.
I feel like they ran out of those main points to hit.
Yeah.
Throughout those books, because I mean, they even did the Crypt Keeper's birth episode, which was like book 47. Like, because there was a point where I was following a couple of the actual Demon Knight and Bordello of Blood were the first 2 that weren't based on books.
Right,
and the same thing with the animated Hippo. I feel like by season 7 they went through all the archive and said we're out.
I just don't think the format ever lent itself to film as much as people. It was almost the same as like X-Files, like the X-File movie, or like.
Demon Knight's solid. Even Bordello of Blood, when you go back and watch, it's not bad. It just, it's the same problem that I feel like they're gonna have with Game of Thrones, because every now and again they'll kick around a Game of Thrones or a Walking Dead type movie rumor, and the main people always come back and they say, "Look, people pay for HBO for this quality. We can't ask them to pay for HBO for 7 seasons and then tie up the movies in 2 movies where everyone can pay to watch it, and they have to pay extra when they've already committed all this time and money."
100% agree.
So, in that respect, I see the transition to the big screen. Why wouldn't you just do a 2-hour episode or start making them for HBO-made movies? But you wanted to make it bigger. Like, I can respect that in the same...
No, I 100%. I think that...
I mean, they started out, aside from the comics, it's like old English movies. There's an original Tales from the Crypt and Vault of Horror, like 1970s, which one of them features All Through the House with, I think, Joan Collins or Joan Crawford, or one of the old Collins, I think it's Joan Collins,
it's Joan Collins, and
which also has that great one with the painter, who's kind of Bob Ross looking, and he paints the deaths. Yeah. So, like, if the painting burns, the guy burns type deal.
That freaking me out.
That was a good... I wish that one got adapted to the show. It never did.
So...
The closest they came was that weird tattoo rock star one where the dragon, like, ate the girl off of his chest. But the Vietnam episode's great with Steve Buscemi.
Yes.
Where he brings back the, like, weed that has flesh-eating and then he sends it home to his girlfriend, and they both smoke it, and now the guy that stole all the washed-up photographer... Oh, my... There's so many... So I have to go home and watch a season now. I hope you're happy. God damn it.
Well, we're DreamWarriors Dream Weave. We're weaving right now.
You know how many times I've met John Kassir?
No.
Three times.
3 times. That's awesome.
When he comes around, I get in his line. Yeah. He's only 30. He does the voice. He's really impersonal. Like, he'll spend 10 minutes talking to you.
He's just haming it off.
He's cool. Yeah.
So, do you think there's a return?
Well, M. Night Shyamalan was bringing it back to TNT, but apparently that's fallen through. It's fallen through, little bit by little bit. But it went from like, this is happening, to like, we're not sure, to like, it's been delayed and it's not looking good.
Dude, I really feel like
whether it comes back or not, for me, it's not going to be Tales from the Crypt.
I think it would work so well. excuse me, it would work as a web series, like, or a stream series. I think
I can
it would,
see that.
like
If
Netflix or
it's gonna lack that.
Yeah.
For me, Tales from the Crypt has become so synonymous with the Crypt Keeper and that whole backdrop of, and another company owns that.
Yeah, I do think they can add. They can add that element again. I do think they can recreate it. It's not going.
I've never seen a good one. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah.
Like, I think back to the Creep show, that Bridger.
Yeah.
I think back to Body Bags
Show's good, though.
with John Carpenter doing it himself.
Yeah.
Where he's the corpse walking around you're never going to capture that.
I think they would be able to nail it.
Although, fun fact, and I didn't know this until just recently.
Okay.
Season 1 of Tales from the Crypt, because they rehauled him for the rest of the season, but season 1, they actually built the Crypt Keeper's face over Chucky's original animatronic head.
Oh, really?
And those blue eyes are Chucky's blue eyes from the first Child's Play.
Cool.
They changed it out in season 2, but if you look at it side by side, they are the exact same eyes.
That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, there was just something. There was just something about the formula that they played with, the presentation of the content.
Yeah.
Everything that surrounded it. And maybe sometimes that's the course of things. Like, it needs to get run into the ground. And then again, at the same time, it's like, it's I think it's hard not to do that. Everyone's like, oh, keep it pure. But, like, you have to realize that a lot of this stuff, when it hits, like, a cultural level, it's so rare.
Right.
Like, you can't control it when it happens. Like, you can't control the boom.
Right.
But you're almost like, it's your duty to ride that wave to the shore.
Right.
And that includes an action figure line.
I own
CD.
2 of them.
Yeah, a Christmas CD. If that includes
A pinball machine.
Yeah, a Saturday morning cartoon. And then you're like, wow, like, but you kind of look back and you're like, man, that was like, it does always remind you of, like, you think back and you have good feelings.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Funko, if you're listening, I could really use a Crypt Keeper pop. Put him in a chair if you want, but I need one. You're running out of horror characters. Make a Crypt Keeper.
Yeah, where are
Thank
they?
you.
They are almost out of, like, what's the next frontier for their
Their last horror series was rocky at best. That's why I'm saying, like, give me a Leprechaun, give me a Pinhead, give me...
Still waiting for Top Gun pops. I just want Top Gun.
They're out. They hit. Like, I'm not shitting you. They were at Movie Stop a long time ago.
You said that before, and you were wrong.
All right, let's...
Look up,
you go ahead and steer this
look
somewhere.
Look at Top Gun pops. I think you forgot that we went through. I think Norm just had a mental lapse. But no, there is no Top Gun Funko Pops. I think pretty soon I will have a cell phone thrown to my head.
Well, apparently they're in the works if they're not.
Don't mess up my pretty face.
Oh, you don't worry, people. It's not pretty. I'm not gonna mess up nothing.
So, do you think? So, what happened with you, like, post Tales from the Crypt? What was the replacement for that? Like, how did you?
I never really found a replacement for Tales from the Crypt. That was kind of. I mean, I guess American Horror Story would be the nearest, but even that's not close to what Tales.
No, American Horror. You know what?
There's never been a horror anthology series like Tales from the Crypt.
I think American Horror Story.
I guess Hitchhiker. I just found that on DVD
okay. Yes.
at Tunes for like $6.
Interesting.
So I bought it based on the stars. It was HBO, and it's all these, like, stories. And they're all tied together by this hitchhiker.
Yes.
But they're horror.
Yeah.
And it's a big
also
name
based
actor.
on the movie, too.
I never.
The movie
I watched the first episode. It's got, like, a producer who's working with an actress, and they're, like, dating kind of. I didn't finish it, but yeah.
I'm curious, maybe, like, I kind of want to go back now and dig around and see what else came around like Tales from the Crypt, and see what that spawned.
I feel like Tales from the Dark Side would be the nearest. Creep Show would be.
They were all before that. Like, Tales was, like, almost like they were saying, hey, there's all this other stuff. we're going to do it this way. And that turned out to be such a superior way because it's so much risk.
Well,
like so much change. Like, how do you even know? Like, the Crypt Keeper is weird and screechy, and how do you even know? And
the music is iconic.
His jokes are stupid.
It's got a great gothic style to it. The opening gets you in the mood for the show.
The opening's
the
best.
Pop out scare at the end with the slime coming down. It's green. It's purple. It's get your endorphins going. The joke that. There's crappy jokes coming your way, setting up the story. He opens this old massive fairy tale book, if you will, starts reading it to you. We go in, you see the actors' names that are listed. Oh, shit, Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
Oh, son of a bitch, Stallone. Miguel Ferreira. Tim Curry. And you're just, you're thrown into this world of like, well, this old curmudgeon-y bastard just retired from his job, and he's not happy about it.
Yeah.
He's bored, and he hates all the animals that are in his wife's house. Oh, shit, he's killing all of the animals in his wife's house and practicing taxidermy because he needs a hobby. Oh, shit, he just killed the wrong pet, and now the wife stuffed him and put him in his favorite chair with googly eyes. Yeah. Like, you don't beat that.
No.
And that's an episode, season 1.
Yeah, right. So that's why...
Masters of Horror would be the closest in between those two, I would say.
Some of the Masters are rock solid.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I love Pelts with Meatloaf, and I think Tobe Hooper directed it. That's a season 2 episode.
I saw that. I just feel like Masters of Horror...
Cigarette Burns was always my favorite. Norman Reedus, I forget who directed that particular one, but like the angels on film and this film that makes you kill yourself, like that was always...
So, what is... Tell me the going rate. If someone wanted to purchase Tales from the Crypt, like how much are they running on Amazon? Any idea?
Amazon, I feel like you could get the entire series, seasons 1 through 7, in their like original, nice comic booky looking boxes for like $123. If you get them out of Tunes, or you're one of those lucky people that still has like one movie stop near you, because I think there's one left out in the Midwest, you could probably get seasons used for like 10 to 15.
So real quick, so Tales from the Crypt complete seasons 1 through 7 is $118.
Okay.
Tales from the Crypt complete seasons 1 and 2 is $20. These are affordable.
Yes.
Norm just ran off to the men's room, and I did not even have... There's actually a Tales from the Crypt Presents Demon Knight Blu-ray that has one heck of a cover. I didn't have a chance to tell Norm that we're going to be wrapping up this episode very soon. The one fact to take away from Tales from the Crypt, that it is from a pre-Comic Code anthology comic book series by the same name, Tales from the Crypt, originally published by EC Comics. At the time, held some of the best horror artwork ever. It pays to know about Tales from the Crypt, the original comic series.
Yeah, there's a hardback ECW edition.
Yeah.
There's like 3 of them. I'm actively watching one of them.
Yeah, so they're all about... The comics are about $40 per hardback. The seasons are about $20 each. I really think you gotta jump into this. You gotta explore it. Was the animated series ever officially released?
I think so. I think lightly.
I'm not getting it at all. I thought it was, to be honest.
I thought it was too.
On Amazon, Tales from the Crypt animated series gets season 7. That episode you referenced earlier.
Okay.
So I'm just going to do a general search real quick, and we're going to sign off soon. How's that feel?
You know,
we did a...
It's hit me right in the feels.
Yeah. You upset to go?
A little bit.
What are you doing tonight? You watching any movies with Rachel tonight? Is there any movies coming out?
I think she might be going out with one of her friends, so I might just be doing some cleaning, or
you were
seeing if you're stuck in Jersey, or...
I'm not sure. Yeah, we might be shooting another episode of Bad Eats tonight.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe do a little Bad Eats party.
Righto.
Tonight's food episode, like usually the theme food that the horrible food that we consume for the YouTube show Bad Eats is usually it's a surprise, so we don't know what, like, so we kind of have ways of doing like a reveal. So I don't really know, but it's going to be disgusting regardless. Sometimes it's tolerable, but no, I think one meal was like tolerable.
There's very few TV dinners that I'm like, just buy 4 of that one and I'll be okay.
We've done like 10 already, and one of them was like halfway decent. So, but no, we're going to sign off. This is great. Just talking to you about Tales from the Crypt brought me back.
Oh man, it's got me.
Brought me back hardcore, and I am a little upset at myself that I let a lot of it drift into the realms of forgetfulness.
I have a Demon Knight poster signed by John Kassir. Yeah. Every time he signs it, there's always a new line he adds, like, thanks, boils and ghouls, or like one of those just iconic, corny. He always adds one.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Anything else for your sign off? Any kind words?
Kind words. Well, Tales from the Crypt taught me not to sleep on conventions. On conventions, it did. Yeah. Between Carrie Fisher and Tales from the Crypt, I've learned.
Well, you embrace a convention.
Well, I had the chance to meet Carrie Fisher before she passed at Monster Mania, but she was charging $60, and it was like a 4-hour line, and I said nay.
Yeah.
Like, because I didn't want to shoot the day in the ass.
I know.
Thinking like, oh, well, she's on the con circuit now. I'll just catch her at Wizard World. Or Larry Drake was supposed to be at Cherry Hill, the guy who played the crazy Santa that stuck with me to this day. I saw the woman at a convention in Atlantic City. So I said nay. I didn't get her. Okay. She passed 3 months later.
Yeah.
Larry Drake fell down the stairs and broke his hip right before the Monster Mania he was supposed to be at, and then he died 2 weeks after that from complications. Yeah. And it's like, because I started that poster of like a Tales from the Crypt show poster.
Right. Yeah,
it had Crazy Santa, it had Ulrich the Invincible, the guy who gets the 9 lives from the cat and he constantly dies, and then he's being buried alive and he realizes, oh crap, this is my last life, I'm not coming back. I forget his name, but he's in Daredevil too, and The Sopranos.
Oh, okay.
The little short, Joe Pantoliano.
Yes, oh, okay, yeah.
And
who's in like...
And Leah Thompson, who keeps doing Wizard World because of Back to the Future. So like I could have banged out all of those guys, and like Larry Drake will forever be that like hole in that poster now. So I've learned between that and missing John Panette in AC right after he died.
That's
like,
tough.
If they're coming, buy a goddamn ticket, because they may not be here for a next round.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if they're 60, 40, 20, 70. Yeah. Buy the goddamn ticket and go.
And I'm going to sign off and just say that we need feedback, we need interaction, we need conversation, we need subscriptions, we need people to push this product with us. Our feedback, you can feedback me, just find me AKAPAD, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, the list goes on and on, easy to find, Googleable, but we need feedback, right?
Let us know what you like, let us know what you don't like. It's always good. And I'm a ghost. If you can find me, Mazel Tov.
Yeah.
Let me know that you found me from the podcast. That would be awesome, because it's just Norm Hamilton. I have Facebook. That's about it. Yeah. That's all I got. And I don't post much, so if you're looking for me, you're going to get my horoscope like daily. Hey, yo.
So we'll sign off on that, and everyone have a good evening.
Yeah.
See you. Goodbye.
Later on.